This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, and today I'm going to talk about what should we call economics or the study of the economy when it ignores power dynamics, class struggle, money, banking, and law. Everybody knows that economics is not a science. Economics is a bunch of theories. There are several schools of economics, and it doesn't mean that some are not more accurate than others in assessing reality, the reality of the economy. But besides that, we have the real economy and we have the financial economy, and there are so many variables and that are not easy to model, to include in the mathematical models that are applied to the economic field, to economic that are used by economists in order to give us an idea of how the economy works. But that's why many of them they cannot understand. There are people, I don't remember, I think it's Michael Hudson and others that say that if we want to understand economics, we cannot read economists. The economists are exactly the people that do not, the majority of the economists do not understand how the economy works. And they do not understand how the economy works intentionally or unintentionally, because they just intentionally do not ignore, omit class struggle. There is no class, okay? The society this is nothing to do with class warfare, which means that they ignore power dynamics. They ignore how the powerful influence the law, in order that to serve certain groups. They ignore money, the role of money in the economy. They ignore banking, how banking works. How does? There is a fictional. Because the problem is this is a field, this is a discipline, that is studied. That is just about the fiction, not the reality, and but it has a huge impact. And why does economics doesn't study reality? Because they have to bite the hand that feeds them, and that's the problem. That is always the problem. The problem is when people are not free, because it starts with that. When people, if they want to have a career, they, even when they understand how the economy really works, they need to ignore the variables that would give a totally different picture about how the economy really works. What we omit, it's always what defines the theory, the belief, because economics is it's about a set of it's a belief system. It's ideological, it's political, and it is always about a vision of the world, a vision of how society should be organized. Because economics is about how we organize society to produce and distribute the goods, services, and we organize everything. It's a way of organizing power. And that's the problem. If people do not want to face reality, which is economics is about how to organize power, who controls what, and cui bono. It's about a certain order at the domestic, national level or international level. We cannot separate, we cannot have economics without the study of economics implies the study of power dynamics. Because we can't apply system dynamics, we can say, okay, that is this complex modeling, and to assess the yeah, that's all fine. If we omit class dynamics or class struggle, okay, and power dynamics, we are already framing it in a way that we are already giving the answer, because it's always how we frame the question that we are determining, we are already setting the answer. And this is why we need to understand it. We need to understand economics, not because the models are they can we do they have some use? Of course they can have some use. There are graphics and models and theories which are important. It's not because we cannot use them to set some economic policies. But in the other hand, if we do not, if we just do not include or discuss power dynamics and class struggle and money and banking and the financialized economy and finance, how can we understand or solve the economic problems? We cannot. We cannot. And we cannot because we are using the wrong tools. We are trying to solve some problem using the wrong tools. And why is that? That's why, because we live in a society, a class-based society, where wealth and power matters, where the laws are crafted by lawyers and other agents, and the culture is crafted by the PR industrial complex. And of course we it's not to it's not to allow us, the general public, the ordinary citizens, to understand how things really work, but is to confuse us, is to divert us from the roots of the problems. That's exactly how it works. And that's why we cannot, economics the way they are taught, and by the way, some people try to dismiss the voice of those who are not experts, all right? But the fact is that it's every one of us, if we are really interested in understanding, we will understand, because the problem to understand something that is complex, that is complex, and sometimes it's even more complex than necessary, just to make it esoteric, that you need to be an initiate to understand. It is the same philosophy, it's the same principles as in religion, You have an exoteric side for the general public, and you have an esoteric part of it, which is just for the initiates, the ones that are, above us, superior. They know better, they understand better, they are connected with some sort of God. In the case of economics, is the god of money, is the yes. So in any case, just forget, do not allow to be diminished just because you are not an expert, just because you have to work hard for the food that you put on the table and to keep a roof over your head. You just do not think that you cannot understand, that you cannot only understand through them, through the bullshit they sell you about economics, about war, about how to organize a society. Many of them, to say the least, are liars. They lie intentionally. It's not even some people are ideologically motivated. They are crusaders, ideological crusaders. But it doesn't mean they are not driven by the gains they also want to have. But so it is about knowledge, not about people. Of course, knowledge is produced by people, and not everybody is bought. There are real independent minds, as independent as is humanly possible, because we are never 100% independent, that is for sure. So we are, but what we need is to look for some knowledge. We all can do it. If you don't understand the mathematical models, you don't worry. They are not as important as they seem. They are not what defines the economy. They are, those models just define an economy that doesn't exist. Okay, a fictitious economy. That's one of the points of that's one of the takeaways of what I'm trying to tell, because it is very important. Because if you confront, you have to confront what experts say, what they get wrong, what they get right. People, there is the neoclassical economics is the school of economics that is prevalent. Okay, that's the one that almost everybody studies. So there is there is a mindset almost everywhere in the world, and the economists have a certain vision like anybody else. Like if you study a certain religion, all right, you have a certain vision of the world. But it doesn't mean that you study religion and you are a priest and you do not understand that the world is not exactly what you preach. But nevertheless, you have to tell your story, because your livelihood, your well-being, your career or whatever depends on you getting along with the story that you have to tell. Whether you believe it's correct or not, that doesn't matter. It just matters that if you want to have the privileges that you enjoy, you have to keep doing what you are doing. And this is true about economics, about any form of even technoscientism. Technoscientism, scientism and technoscientism are also religions. They are not science. Science is science, but technoscientism is a religion. Is the absolute faith in science. It is the preaching of the absolute faith in science and technology, in technofixism. So, and with the neoclassical economics is kind of the absolute economics. It's kind of, there is the only understanding of economics is through the lenses of neoclassic school of thought. But it doesn't mean that you do not need, we as regular ordinary citizens, we do not need to understand everything about it in order to have an opinion. We cannot, I do understand that we need, and I think it's important that we need to study as deep as we can to have a comprehensive understanding of what you are trying to talk about. But it's because this is not about a talk. This is about reality. We need to understand reality because we are affected by the decisions, by the political decisions, by the economic policies, by the laws that are set, how capital is coded. I really recommend Katharina Pistor book, because I think it's the Code of Capital. I'm not sure. It's a recent book. It's from 2022 maybe. The Code of Capital. I believe it's the title of the book. It is important to understand how law is used to create wealth, to protect wealth, to protect the wealthy, to protect the proprietary rights. I mean, to set the stage of, and this is economics, and that's what I'm trying to say. Is if people want to understand economics, if we want to understand economics, we need to understand this, what I power dynamics, class warfare, money, banking, finance, law. That's if we do not understand this, we don't understand economics. It doesn't matter if you are an expert or an ordinary citizen, okay? And that's for us. I mean, democracy, it's about political agency for the demos, okay? And if we do not have the basic understand of how society is organized, how economy, how the rules of the basic rules for the economy, what the economy should be about, how can we organize a society or an economy that really serves society, that this is for the collective well-being. That is what I used to call a social and ecological political system, political economy. And the other thing is that there is no such thing as the economy. There is only political economy. Which means that we cannot study economy and understand the economy only based on the rules or the principles or the models of whatever school of economics. Classical economics, neoclassical economics, modern money theory, whatever. By the way, modern money theory is not economic, according to their developers. It's not an economic theory. It's more of a lens to understand economics, and that's what we should have. We should not follow schools of economics because they are ideological. It is a theology. What we should have is tools to understand how the economy should work for the benefit of us all. To understand money, banking, finance, class, power dynamics. That's culture, of course. That's what we need to understand economics. Not experts. They are liars. Many of them, they are lying intentionally. And many of them do not understand the economy because they are taught a fiction, and they learn how to draw, how to use those mathematical models to give a scientific look to this fiction that is taught everywhere. So and this is not about that. That's why I I could not, if you'd asked me 30 years ago, I would not, I would give a shit for economics. I only started to be, okay, I need to understand this. After the crisis 2007, 2009, which has never been solved, that I felt motivated and driven to understand economics, and that as since then, and we are already in 2025, that I've been slowly digging into it, and the more I dig, the wider I dig, the deeper and wider I dig, the more I find it important. The more I understand that it's not about being, trying to find solutions, political solutions, and buying into populisms to solve problems that sometimes do not even exist, or if they exist, they are very, very exaggerated by especially the populist right, nationalist populist right, and the fascist right. But they are missing on the left, and the radical left we need to build a movement, or we need to build movements and political parties and organizations that to deal with this, to make us interesting in understanding political economy and geopolitical economy as well, which is important to understand why the economy doesn't work for us, why the economy works for certain groups, and while for the rest of us is scarcity. That's the name of the game for us. It's manufactured scarcity. And that's because we cannot have democracy. This is not democracy. If the economy, which is it's the basics how we organize a society to make the society function, the rules of the economy, how the economy is organized. The economy needs to be functional. In order to have a functional society, we need to have a functional economy. But the functional economy and society needs to be based on justice and truth. Nothing works. When we need lies, even if those lies are just by omission, okay? In order to sell a system, to sell, in this case, an economic system or a political economy system, it's because there's something wrong with it. Don't you understand it? Every time you need to lie, even by omission, by obfuscating some things, it's because it's something wrong there. It's because you want to you have something to gain or lose, and you believe that it is different in these big games. No, the game is rigged, and they need lies. They need to play. They need to create these narratives in order to keep us distracted, divided, tribalized, and that's atomized, that we do not understand. We are not supposed to understand the reality because they know it's against their interests. But who are they? They are people like us. They just have the power. They just happen to be the ones that are controlling our lives. So we do not have political, economic, or social or cultural agency. It's just like it was before. Now we need, many of us that are independent scholars, journalists, independent citizens, we need to use Patreon, that some ordinary citizen just like us just pinch a few bucks that we need to survive. And like before, the Patreons were the kings, that somebody that would want to have a career as a musician, as a painter, as a architect or what, you need the patronage from the wealthy, and it still does like that. Now, the point is, we do not have agency, political, cultural, social, economic, because we are not allowed to be part of the design that will come governance. The laws are not crafted by us, and the laws are what allows private ownership, proprietary rights to be above life and and other rights. There are no rights above the proprietary rights. And why? Because the dignity of life is meaningless for those who want to control us. To control society, to control the economy, to control culture, science and technology. They want to own and control and set the rules for the evolution. They set the direction that's also an important point. That's why they need to manage us. That's why we have managed democracies, because that's the way to control not only the present but the future and even the past by distorting it. So do not, look trust yourself, look for evidence, compare information, put your own convictions into perspective, and do not trust the experts, because not all experts, not all people that have an expertise on whatever it is, the field, whatever field, are liars and careerists and just connections with power. They are linked to power and they just want to benefit from it. Yeah, not all of them are like that, but maybe most of them are like that. They are not going to admit it, okay? You cannot expect them to admit it. They will tell you that they are independent, but they are not. And it doesn't matter. Even if they are only ideologically motivated, it doesn't matter, because if they are spreading lies, and if they are obfuscating the reality, if they are making you believe in a fictitious reality, they are manipulating you, they are deceiving you. I mean, by you, I mean us, I always say it. And that just takes away our agency. There is no agency without truth and justice. And truth and justice is relational. It is related with the reality. It is relating with the principles and rules that are the frame that behind or underneath or under our economic and societal system. We just assume it as normal, because if that's what we know, if that's what we learn at school, if that's how things seem that have been working like that forever, at least for us, it is like just no. When I was born, the reality was different. We didn't. I mean, I didn't have a television or a telephone at home, so there was a radio. So, and every time we would need to have a phone call, we'd go to the post office or to the grocery shop or something like that, or maybe a public phone, that if you would live in a place where was a public cabin, maybe, I don't know if it's the right word. So now my grandchildren were born in the cybernetic age, so they will assume that as the normalcy. They cannot even imagine that it is possible to live without internet, as if the reality we have today, the cultural, social, economic, scientific and technological reality, has been here forever. So we are But and the capitalist system seems to us that it has existed since the beginning of history or something like that. But it has not. It has evolved, and we have several subtypes of capitalism, because industrial capitalism, merchant capitalism, financial capitalism, they are different. So we need to understand how this works, and how, for example, financial capitalism is exactly what rules, the one that are dictating the rules for the rest of the game, you know. So the economy, when the economists are talking about the economy, I mean, what is the economy? Is the financial markets? Of course not. But that's what it really is. That's what sets the rules. That's the ones that are extracting the wealth, and that's the ones that are taking over everything, everywhere. And we need to understand it. While the real economy is a kind of subset or subsystem of the financial economy, which is a disgrace, which is, I mean, this needs to be understood in a comprehensive way by all of us, because it is unacceptable. This reality where a fictitious economy is the one that really rules the real economy, which is the economy that serves society, people, that provides for people, so that the real economy is subservient to the financial economy, and we do not even discuss it. We do not talk about the relevance of sovereign money, public banking. I mean, we do not discuss why should we tolerate the existence of shadow banking, fiscal paradises, and I mean, and a long list of scams, of financial, monetary, and fiscal scams, all done to protect the interests of plutocrats and oligarchs. That's exactly how it works. The perversity of this system is beyond the pale. Okay? It has never in the history of humanity that an empire, the existing empire, the US empire, Pax Americana, has developed the system. It is an international system, but of course, the governance, the global governance of this system was set and dictated by Washington and Wall Street to control the world. And this is so perverse and malignant and it is a cancer. It is a cancer spreading metastases all over the world, and those metastases, they kill real people, and they destroy the environment, and they destroy the economies, because they are not about developing the economies, they're not about developing the countries, they are about developing a cancer. And that's why I think the system is it will grow, or the tumor, it will grow to the point that it will destroy. There will not be solution. There will be the collapse. The economy is a living organism, because the economy is not about things, it's about providing for living systems. It's about using resources, transforming resources into goods and services to satisfy the needs and some wants of living beings. So if we are spreading a cancer, we are not going to solve it. We are going to delay, because we are using a lot of remedies, a lot of lies to alleviate the symptoms, but we are not treating the cancer. We are not changing the rules. No, because multipolarism is not. Multipolarism might be defying the existing hegemon. But they are not. They are not defying the existing system. I used to say that the rules-based international order might be at risk. It might not be anymore. It might just be might not work anymore. But globalization, the economic globalization, is not going to die. Globalism, the idea of imposing and dictating the global governance, is kind of fading away. but the globalization of the economy is a globalized economy. It's not going to end. It might slow down in some parts, but it's going to increase in other parts of the world. So globalization is it's not going to end. That is a stupid idea to believe. Even if there is a war, unless the war will I mean, that is still the dependence on production, global production lines. Countries these days cannot. It's very difficult to survive on. I mean, it is possible that countries could survive with their own means. Some countries could do it, but it's very difficult to roll back the the global economic, global trade, especially. I'm talking about the globalization of trade. So the point is that there is the need for us to, instead of being divided by cultural wars and so many people that believe themselves as progressives and even leftists, and they do not understand how the economy works and how money works, how everything, and that is and class, because all problems I would not say or state that all problems can be reduced to class, but class, in my opinion, is class and power dynamics is I mean, it's almost impossible to analyze critically the system that are exploiting us, taking away that the system that took away any form of agency. We don't have. We are just powerless. We don't have any. We do not have any. Nothing that really matters in terms of political decisions and to set the policies, economic policies, social policy, and the environment, and every kind of policy. It depends on our agency. We want one thing, or most of the society wants one thing, and politicians do the opposite. So that's the opposite of agency. Elections are not to give us agency. They are just a way to legitimize governments that in the end are going to govern against our will, against the desires of the voters. So, and if we talk about the European Union, I mean, that's a disaster. They just rule by decree. I mean, there is no accountability. There is nothing there. I mean, it's just a dictatorship. if you really want to, if you want an example of autocracy, you need to China and Russia, please. Just you need to have a closer look. So that's in my opinion what is one of the most relevant that we can we should stop to Orthodox economists. I mean, do you want to listen to Paul Krugman? Or, I mean, it's just a name, because it's the one that pops up immediately because it's very well known. Does the guy understand the economy? I think he won a Nobel Prize in economics. I mean, and they only give most Nobel Prizes in economics, and in the Nobel Peace Prize, it's another example, is usually politically. I mean, it has nothing to do with. I mean, in many cases, I'm not going to say that is in all the cases, but in many cases is a political choice. It's nothing to do with truth and honesty, and the intellectual honesty, and it's not based. Is exactly it's management. It's perception management, because we have managed democracies. There is no real democracy. It's just everything is managed to manufacture consent. And when we think about manufacturing consent, it's not because we will play in unison, we will play as one. No, manufacturing consent can be achieved by spreading division. The same happens with perception management. We think it's just one truth. No, it's just division, atomization, tribalization. Diverting, goatscaping, and all the rest. It's perception management to manufacture consent, because they don't want us to unite and organize and understand deep politics, deep economics, the permanent bureaucracy, how law works, the power dynamics. This is not easy to understand. I know it. That's all these things that we need to understand and put them together to connect the dots. This is not easy, because that's exactly where they play a lot with making people believe in different things, to be in order to fight each other, and especially to make it sound that this is only about individual choices. This is a very pertinent topic. That's the individual choice. Everything we do is based on our individual wisdom or lack of it. Okay, that we don't live. We are not influenced. We are not manipulated. We just, we don't have to to have rules and laws that protect us against gangsterism, because what banking is not like, this is an example how banking that should be just about to keep the flow of money, because money should be mostly a means of exchange and an accounting system, and then we need a flow in order to. So we need to create the money, to have institutions that create the money for the right purposes, okay, for the real economy, and they don't need to be controlled by private hands, because it's where all the problem starts, when we have a fictitious, a virtual object, okay, a virtual item, okay, I don't even know what to call it, sometimes the words are difficult, controlled by private hands, the creation of it. That's just, but we just accept it. But they are gangsters. They are not. And then we don't have the rules, and as if it's all people. Those who believe that it's fair, that we pray like the marketing, preying on the vulnerability and of children. We have a system, a capitalist system, that based on the individual choice, that also individual responsibility, and therefore we can prey and abuse and create dependencies. To prey and abuse the vulnerabilities of people, of all of us, because we all have vulnerabilities. Why should we accept to have a system that preys on it? Should be the opposite. The same way that we want to create a society that we do not allow to have to punish predators, sexual predators, and other, rapists and burglars and other, which is in criminals in general, to protect society, to protect the individuals. But we allow a system, such like banking, that is preying on people. Interest used to be it used to be a sin. It used to be illegal. Okay? There is some reason for that. Have we learned? Are we more moral now? No, we are not. Unfortunately, we have, in terms of understanding the banking system, finance and money, do not expect the Orthodox economies, do not expect the Orthodox economies to tell you the truth about the system we have, the financial system, the banking system, the way all those complex financial instruments and all those things that nobody seems to care about. I mean, it's just part of our reality. It's just the way the system works. It's preying on us. It's preying on our vulnerabilities. It's preying on the real economy. It will destroy the fabric of society. It is destroying the fabric of society. And we just accept it. And why? Because we don't understand it. Because because the mainstream media, the so-called legacy media, and most of the so-called alternative media, they are not telling you the truth. There are people telling the truth. About how the system really works, and for the benefit of whom, cui bono. But most of us are still are still colonized by old ideas, by wrong ideas about the economy and how finance and banking works. We just accept it because we think everything is normal, because it's normal to pay interest, it's normal to have all this casino financial that destroys the real economy. It is normal to accept the existence of black rocks and black stones and hedge funds and all these scams, because this is nothing else but scams. You know, because as John Steinbeck once said, Americans are momentary and are nothing else but momentarily embarrassed capitalists. There are no people, no workers. There is no class warfare. But Warren Buffett said once said that, yeah, there is a class warfare going on, and my class is winning. That's it. They know, they understand it. The ones that seem to not understand it is the ones that are that their lives are being destroyed. And things are going to get worse. Yeah, because the system doesn't have a reverse gear. Because it needs to expand. Because a debt-based system cannot stop. A debt-based system cannot stop growing. Otherwise, the house of cards falls immediately. Just look into the repo market and to other. This is just a scam that doesn't need this complexity, this manufacture, artificial complexity of the financial system. The artificial complexity of the financial system is just an excuse for organized plunder. I mean, this is exactly what it is, and we need to see it as it is. So I'm going to end here. Okay, I'm going to end here. Thanks for listening. I will be back soon.